Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into this. If you follow me anywhere on the socials, you'll see that I posted I was going to have a video out today. This is going to be another one that's kind of like on the esoteric side of these native religions and stuff like that, like the Red Horn video I did. But we're not talking about Red Horn today. We're talking about Grandmother Spider. And why do I want to make a video on Grandmother Spider? Let's start there. Because actually it's one of the more fascinating parts of what is thought to be a prominent figure in ancient mound builders religion, and not just them, but even modern day, like Cherokee, for example, have a Grandmother Spider lore and story. The Hopi, the Mississippians certainly did, because they find engraved shells. You'll see a picture of that in the video, the slideshow. You'll also see artwork like this. This is AI generated right here. It's unaltered. But like in the intro, there was a bunch of it, and they are altered. They are like pictures I've taken blended with AI art I generated. So just to be upfront, I'm not a fine artist. I don't have that type of skill. I do practice sacred geometry, drawing, and I blend those with them sometimes. But it's what I enjoy. It's just something to look at while I'm telling the story. So I don't claim to be an artist, and I don't claim to be a historian. I love to learn. I'm called to tell people about this and shine a light on this. And I just hope that you get something from this. So that's why I want to do a video about Grandmother Spider, because I find it fascinating, the little information that we have from storytelling, but there's also a lot of like correlation with most modern religions who, at their core are involved with oneness, but have that dualistic kind of aspect too, because a lot of those ancient natives looked at the sun as a creator, but Grandmother Spider was too. And so how that manifests is really as a divine masculine and divine feminine. And anyone who is familiar with like Hermetic principles, for example, is going to know what I'm talking about. If you're not, there's a bunch of people who do videos on YouTube about it, or you can read the Kybalion, or you can read the Corpus Hermeticum, whatever, find out about it however you can. I'm pointing out simply that Grandmother Spider represents the divine feminine, the creative, the resourceful, the just the and if I say anything wrong, jump in and correct me. If you know about this and I misspoke, please engage. I want to have respectful discourse about this stuff. I want to learn. I'm not here just to teach. I'm a student in all this. I've been called to shine a light on these cultures and this stuff. So moving forward, I'll jump into the slideshow. Thank you for watching. Yeah, just let me know what you think. Also, please take a second to share this video. That's the only way that this type of thing grows, is by people sharing, and taking the information that I certainly don't want you to listen to it unquestioning. Take it and look into it and figure it out, and come back to me with a concern or a question, or some light, a missing puzzle piece that I didn't have, some measure of context, whatever you have. Let's learn this together. That's what I've been called to do, is kind of shine a light on it. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy. Peace. So like I said, Grandmother Spider, very interesting figure. I'll start with I've already explained that Grandmother Spider represents the creative feminine. The The upper world was kind of guided by the divine masculine, which is the sun. You know, it's who the chiefs of the Mississippian chiefdoms and stuff like that would have communed with, and who they would have been related to. It's believed. But the middle and the lower world, excuse me, was kind of governed by the divine feminine, because, you know, that's creation. They create things that propel the people forward. She represents wisdom and education. You know, for the Cherokee, the legend is that they brought fire from the sun. You know, some legends include her being responsible for the stars in the sky. There's a story from the Cherokee about how they got the fire for the people. You know, many animals tried, the possum, the buzzard, and the crow, but they couldn't get it done. The spider was resourceful, and so that's, you know, part of where the legend comes from. She built something to actually carry the fire so she wouldn't get burned. And obviously in nature, spiders will craft things from their body, just as women do children. This is why they represent the divine feminine. But there's also, you know, the Hopi story, how they came from I'm putting this in quotes, the first world, which is weird, right? You know, that kind of reeks of like ultra dimensional, possibly extraterrestrial, who knows. But, you know, the song of life that the spider woman or grandmother spider would sing kind of like resonates, you know, and expands throughout creation. So starting with the Hopi legend, you know, it's super interesting because, you know, they talk about how they split into clans. And the Bear Clan and the Gopher Clan and the Spider Clan are the clans that they split into. But the Spider Clan is where the story has emphasis, because they meet Grandmother Spider and they explain that they have the most kids, they need the most resources, so they can't really move as fast. So because their name of their clan is an homage kind of to her, not directly, but because it mentions spider in the name, she offers to make them something. So with the skin and dust from the chief, after he cleanses himself, she crafts what is essentially a donkey, so that they can carry, like, you know, a pack animal, and that will, you know, they will saddle up with all their stuff. That this way they can keep moving and move faster, and catch up with everybody. But it's so fascinating because, and it's kind of anticlimactic, because, you know, nobody ends up winning here, really. You know, the Spider Clan, I guess, kind of does, because they reach the land of the rising sun where they claim to be headed to, and these people kind of dominate because they have the most kids, so they end up kind of like, I guess, breeding out the rest of the clans. I don't know how that works, but it's anticlimactic in a way, because someone actually comes to steal their donkey. But the person that did that was also created by Grandmother Spider. So in my mind, that kind of represents that creation is irrespective of morality, good and bad. You know, bad things happen and bad things are created, and it's really about learning the lesson from that. So yeah, the Hopi had an awesome story there. You know, the Cherokee obviously did too, with Grandmother Spider crafting something to carry the fire. So, you know, there's another story I wanted to jump into, from Robin Morningstar Dick, Stories from the Elders. that was read, and I'm just going to touch on like some highlights. Grandmother Spider represents intuition, um, guidance, basically functions as an architect of reality. But in the story that is read from Robin Morningstar Dick, Grandmother Spider bites the author for not heeding the warnings and not following the path, essentially. And it references the colors of the winds, reading the signs. It just is loaded with iconography of like a unified field and alchemy. And it brings up more animal totems like the wolf, the bear, the eagle, the crow, dancing songbirds. Grandmother Spider kind of dispatches these animal signs as figures, to represent things so that you can interpret them and stay on the path. So that's the kind of figure that Grandmother Spider is. And that's why I wanted to dive into this lore, because, and it really wasn't a dive. It's just me making obvious to you when you see these on artifacts and when you see these displayed in museums, that's what that represents. These people had an massively advanced understanding of natural law. And it's all over their artwork. It's in their stories. It's so beautiful. And hopefully this is enough to inspire you to look into it yourself and to get something else out of it and share it and talk about it. If you want to talk about it with me, you know how to get in touch with me. All my socials are in every one of my bios, so just holler at me. And thank you for listening. Peace.